This is Shawna Mills with NERDSoul on RockDASpot. Shawna Mills. I storyboard for television, mostly animated television. I've done shows from, I began my journey here in LA working on Black Dynamite. And then from there I went to a bunch of Marvel and DC properties. But then I shot further into the industry when I got my first full-time job at Lucasfilm, working on Star Wars Rebels. And from there, I ended up doing a few other jobs, but the more notable one would be Invader Zim, the new movie that's coming out on soon on Netflix. So they announced it. I can talk about it. And then I guess like right now I'm doing. I just finished up about 2 seasons of Fast and the Furious for the DreamWorks Netflix edition. And then right now I'm working at Rick and Morty Studios on their new show, Solar Opposites. So before I even got to LA, I had done some industry stuff. So I had worked on Hulk, Agents of Smash. And that was a Disney Marvel property. And I also worked on Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja. And then I was like mostly floating around New York. So I am from New York, and I was desperately trying to get into the industry and without having to come to LA. I tried hard, but then I ended up doing a bunch of different. I was a lead designer and art director for a game in New York, actually. But then I realized, if you really want to get your money's worth, you have to come to LA. It's probably like the most, the smartest move that I had made. With New York, I always champion it. I think the thing about New York is that it was like the hustle, and there's always inspiration everywhere you looked. It's just the energy overall. But it's dry. It's a dead land. It's nothing there in terms. They might have like a few animation studios here and there, but they're mostly non-union. You'll get gypped. I mean, that's probably a bad term for it, but yeah, it wasn't the place to be. And so when I got here, I was super surprised at how quickly I could get a job. I got a job like 3 weeks in, when people were telling me that they took months and probably years to try to get into the industry. So I was like, they said I was lucky, but I knew what to give the props to. And it was my New York hustle. I have to say, I was always gonna, when I got here, I wasn't settling. I wasn't sitting down. I was shamelessly approaching people. I was shamelessly so. You can't maybe they might not like me. No, I didn't care. Okay, you dissed me. Okay, whatever. Next to the person next to you, whatever. Shameless. It's just shameless. You have to be kind of like that though. So I came in on the tail end, that when they had transitioned from Titmouse back to Cartoon Networks. So they were doing a lot of stuff, pre-production stuff there, and then shipping a lot of the work out to Korea. And I worked under LaShawn Thomas, Carl Jones, and a lot of really amazing people, including Diego. He's doing amazing stuff. But I came in and I got to work with those people right off the bat. And I realized being under, especially working next to LaShawn Thomas, he was super particular, which is the only way I've ever described him is him being super particular. He knows what he wants. So I get that. So I always respected that. And then Carl Jones, he's always been sort of a great supportive figure in the industry. So I got right off the bat, I got that. So yeah, that was my incoming to the industry life. It was up and down, because again, once you're coming from New York, and I don't know if the rumors or what we're known for is being kind of smug about where we come from, but it took me a second to realize you're here now, chill out, the reason why you left New York is because it's probably not the best place to be right now. So stop comparing everything to home, right? So even my friends now like say that I've changed a lot, but like they remember when I first got here, all I would talk about was New York. So like I still sort of like people still call me out on it. But yeah, no, I have an appreciation for here too. I feel like this is the place where I grew up, like officially. Like when I was there, I was still struggling as an artist and doing a bunch of stuff that it felt like I hadn't grown up yet. And then when I got here, just so many different experiences. But yeah, still the people and their slow paces of walking and just slow pace here pisses me off. Still gets to me. It still gets to me, but I did learn how to slow down when I first got here, because that was hard. I was like super antsy. It's like, why isn't everyone moving? Like, where's the work? Where's the work? And then I guess it was like one point it just clicked, and you're like, no, just sit, just wait, just chill out. It's okay. Stop being impatient. So how it works is that we receive the script, we work from that, we look at it, we make sure we have it in our minds, and generally just direct. It's like we're the first, as a storyboard artist, mind you. As a storyboard artist, we have to visualize. We're the first to bring the creators and the writer's vision to a visual point. You know what I mean? Like we're the first to do that. So there's a bit of direction. You have to be able to tell the story clearly so that when we send it to the animators or anyone can look at it and just know what they're looking at. And it allows breathing room for like writers to kind of revisit stuff and fix it if they need to, because sometimes the writers don't even know or get a gist of like space. So we have to consider all that. We have to do layouts, things like that. There's a bunch of stuff that we're the first to establish, basically. And then usually, for the most part, the studios, once they get that, they send it to the editors, and then from there, they send it to the animators, which it is usually overseas. It's rarely done here. There's a few studios that do it here, but I guess since it's money, that is the problem there. But I'm seeing more and more studios popping up in places like Australia. Like, so before it was Japan, then it was Korea, and now it's like new frontiers like Australia. I don't know about Africa. I don't know about the other spots, but I've seen stuff come back from Australia, and it's fantastic. So it's being more spread out. So I really would love to see stuff come from Africa, though, like some studios. That'd be cool. I think the toughest thing that I had to do was something on a show. It was mostly when I was going in for animation. So I originally came here for animation, thinking that, that's the way to go. But then I was actually encouraged to go for storyboarding because everyone needs storyboard artists. So when I started doing that, I think it was a show, it was like Monster, I forget the dang name. It's like Comedy Central kind of thing. But you have to be like on model all the time. And I'm pretty loose with my hands. Like, that sounds bad. I'm like, my style is a little looser. So I like to, especially when I'm jotting down the ideas and all that, I like to make sure that, I don't really focus on the structure and all that so much. But that's probably like the toughest stuff for me is when they want it to be super, super intact. Because for me, I want to tell the story, So I try to focus more on that before I go over stuff like that. So Boom Tag is a story about a young boy who wants to become a legendary sound master. But in order for him to do that, a legendary sound master is someone that has like a really powerful voice. But in order for him to become one of those, he's going to have to obtain a voice. He enters a competition, which with the grand prize being one wish granted, and so that will be his wish. So he has to actually compete, and then the project that I'm on right now, the pilot will cover how he enters, his motivation, and what happens at the end of this competition. Well, first part of the competition. But yeah, it's music based. So there's going to be a lot of, so he goes up against other music and sound users during this competition. So you get to see someone that is like, he's a true underdog. And yeah, I just really I love the idea of playing around with sound and music. Since it's creator-owned, it's actually a bit tougher. I feel like if I had someone there telling me what to do, things will happen quicker. You know, usually there's like deadlines and stuff. But with my stuff, I found it difficult because I'm also like the one and only eyes like looking at this thing half the time. I'll draw something or I'll come up with an idea or some like a piece of writing, and then I'm like as soon as I get to the end, I'd say I don't like it, and then I toss it somewhere in a folder. So I'd say like my approach, patient, is a little bit more is patiently impatient. So I'm doing a lot of like I'll jump on a task, and then I'll spit out a bunch of like things that's in my head, that's working around in my head. But then I'll sit. I'll always like just have to take time and sit on it instead of like, you know, shipping it off to people or something like that. They all have different parts for different reasons. I feel like when I'm in the mood, you know, it's like sometimes you want vanilla, sometimes you want chocolate. I always kind of like use that analogy because you just got to kind of flow with it. So I usually just end up flowing with it to make sure I have a good time. Because if I'm not having a good time, the work is garbage. Like I spit out some garbage sometime and I'm like, what is happening right now? And it's mostly because I'm not interested in it. And when I'm not, yeah, you know. So right now, I'm having a lot of fun, or I feel like I would have fun. This is something that I'm actually craving to do, and that is just animate. Like I want to animate stuff, you know. I want to like draw something really cool with motion and all the stuff that I used to do. Like better though, because I've definitely gotten a lot better. But I really want to do that right now. Unfortunately, I have to take care of a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's, yeah. Don't beat yourself up. I feel like a lot of the stuff that is a roadblock is usually internal. I have like a coworker, a peer actually, he goes through the same kind of stuff. I go through it too, you know, but I always have to remind myself that if you don't feel like doing something, you just kind of have to roll with it. That's why I have like adopted to, I kind of adapt. Like I just kind of, if I don't feel like doing the animation, and I question myself, what exactly do I feel like doing that would also allow this project and make me feel like this project is progressing? Sometimes I'll like go into writing. Sometimes I went into programming, which was crazy because like, programming is not my thing. But the reason why I started designing a game, I was just gonna do animation for it, and then I started diving into it. I made a game design docs, all these things. I started typing, and then one time I was like, I'm not trying to wait for anybody to program for me. I mean, it's great to try, but like, let me try to understand it at least. So I started programming. I'm okay. Yeah, I can. So I think just getting an understanding, I feel progress. So I'm allowing myself to not feel stagnant, and then also keep moving with it. It's like I always have something to show at the end of it. So a lot of the stuff that you've seen, they're all like in development. Some things might be like stopped so the other thing can go and like at some point, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it took me a second, the same way it took me a second to realize I was a professional storyboard artist. It's like you don't wait for anybody to give you that title. You just have to like, sometimes you have to sit yourself down and be like, So how does this look on paper? You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to go down this list. And I did. And I'm like, I am an entrepreneur. Whether I accept it or not. Like, you know, and it goes for anyone. I was a professional before I even said I was a professional. So it was like, yeah, like it was like always a sense of me just feeling like I don't think I belong here. You know what I mean? Imposter syndrome. There we go. Came like a day later. Yeah, so you gotta kind of like get yourself out of that and just see it for what it is. And the facts are, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm running a business. I'm a director. I'm a producer. You know, I'm all of these things. And it's not because someone else gave me that title. It's because I'm just doing what I have to do to get it done. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? I'm like divided there because I feel like part of me, when I think of legacy, I would love to, I don't want kids, but I do want like people that I trust to that I could like pass stuff down to, you know, because I could croak any minute now and, you know, who do I have to leave my ideas and stuff. So I would love to have my stuff kind of out there once I'm gone and still remembered. So yeah, I think about that a lot. I guess in a way, what I'm doing is like my child. So, but other than that, there's another part of me. It's just like, I don't mind disappearing. So there's another part of me that's like dreaming of an island off somewhere, not being remembered, nothing. It's kind of, I like it. I mean, it's like, I haven't settled on which one is going to be the end of that one yet. But yeah, because I'm not really looking to have kids. But yeah, maybe a really talented artist or someone else that I could team up with. They could just like have all the babies and then I could just give them all the stuff. Yeah, they could live off of the wealth, I guess. I don't know, I'm just making up stuff.